here I am doing my homework in DeltaMath. So here's this one on systems of equations, graphing. So remember, when we have linear equations, we know that when they're set up like this, y equals some number in front of the x plus some other number that's by itself, it tells us what the graph is going to look like. So that number that's in front of the x, we put an m there to represent that, just since we don't know the number yet. And that number represents the slope. So that's how steep. How steep? Is it that steep? Is it this steep? Is it negative? How steep? How steep is the line? That's the slope. Or the rate of change is another word, okay? Then this other number that's by itself, that's not in front of the variable, that's just a constant, which is just a number, that's the y-intercept. And that tells us, remember there's two variables here. So when the x variable is equal to 0, then the y is going to equal this number. So when the x is 0, because 0 multiplied by anything, that will equal 0. So the y will equal the b. So here we go. Look at this graph here. We have this set up like this. We've got the -7's by itself, so there's our y-intercept, and our slope is the number in front of the x. So the y-intercept is where we'll start. That's where the graph starts. We're going to start it at -7. My equation's going to go away for a second. So -7. And then our slope, remember when we think about slope, things that we think about is how steep. And the steepness, it tells us like, if we're climbing, we're seeing how far up we're going for how far of a distance. So it's going to be rise over run. So from that -7, we're going to go up. The rise here, this slope is -2. When it's a number by itself, it's just saying that it's 2 whole units. That means that it's -2 over 1. If it's ever a whole number, it's going to go over 1. So that one's going to go down because it's negative. So we're going to go down 2 over 1. So that's the next point on our line. And so with this platform, we're just going to click on the 7. We're going to click on the -9. There's our first line. Next line, we've got again, the y-intercept is the number by itself. So we're going to start it at -2. And our slope, remember, if there's no number under, if it's not a fraction currently, we're going to make it a fraction. So it's just over 1. So 3 over run. The rise is 3. The run is 1. So we're going to rise 3. 1, 2, 3. Run 1. There's the next spot on our graph. So here on this platform, we can just click on those 2 points on the graph here and here. So there is our second line. The solution to a system of equations is when are those 2 lines, when are those 2 equations equal? And so if you're just looking at this graph, you can see that they're equal. They're not equal here because this line is by itself and this line's over here. They're equal where they're in the same spot where they cross. Now in DeltaMath, do not click on this line because they'll disappear. But you can see that this point is the coordinates for this point where they cross. The x value is how far we go side to side. See how we have our x labeled here? And it says y on the top on the other side. I'm not going to scroll. So our x is how far that point, that coordinate is over. So it's to the left, it's -1. And how far it is down, it's -5. So that's where they intersect. So that's where they have the same solution. So that is the solution to this system of equations. And what we'll see when we do algebra with systems of equations is that you'll see when we put -1 and -5 into those 2 equations, it will make both equations true. It will work and make both equations true equations. Submit. Got it right.